If you're a friend of the channel, you know that I like to call it the way I see it. And I've been working my way through all the items that the Danger Noodle and the Zane Bounty Bag brought to us with, let's just say, varying success. There's everything in here in between, insanely OP to I'm not even sure that I'm ever gonna pick this up again. Now, what's good, everyone? It's Word here, and today we're gonna be visiting some craptastic additions to our arsenal. And it's not a good one, boys. I ain't gonna lie to you. We're gonna be looking at two items. Well, I don't need actually to be fucking mysterious about this. So, two ordinances that were added to the game with the Zane DLC. The first one is the artillery sphere grenade, and the Cooper duper super pooper heavy ordinance is the second. Both of which are rooted in a generally good idea and just get let down due to how the game works. And I shit you not, I would love to be a fly on the wall and hear some explanation behind the design philosophies that Gearbox have, because sometimes it really feels like that I'm playing an entirely different game. And today is one of those times. So let's have a look at them, yap about them, and then you can decide if you want to incorporate it into your arsenal or not. And then first up, we're gonna tackle the grenade that I shall henceforth only refer to as the sphere, because my speech impediment will not allow me to say ulteriorly without sounding like I need a helmet to go to the toilet. And this is especially infuriating for me for several reasons. Well, not the toilet part and the helmet, the grenade part. And the first one is that it is really a great idea that you just got a permanent little body observer, well, not so little, that floats around like a fart trapped in an elevator. But it will not do a goddamn thing until you command it. Once you do so, it does become a little bit more protective. It will fly to an enemy and then start eating, deconstructing, making sweet, sweet love to them. I don't really know what the fuck it does, but it will do damage. And let's be a little bit more specific for the nerdy nerders out there. It will do three different types of damage. The first one is that when you just have it equipped, it will orbit around you passively, and if it happens to come in contact with an enemy, it will do 100% elemental splash ordnance damage every zero point 0.3 seconds. Fucking zero point 0.3 seconds, I swear they have a mania with this. But then the second is that when you throw it, it will explode with 100% elemental splash ordnance damage again. And then the third one, arguably the most important, is that when you land that thrown grenade at an enemy, it will start that sweet love making for 3 seconds for the amount of the damage that you have on the card, and then fly back to you and then start orbiting again. And that is pretty much the loop that you're aiming for. It has around 5-second cooldown, depending on what effects you get. So with it jumping for 3 seconds out of that, it will mean that it's not that difficult to be always being able to just chain command that little body of yours to attack something. And quickly, while we're on the subject of little buddies, if you want us to be little buds, make sure to subscribe, ring the bell, and if you want to be my special friend, consider joining as a member. But objectively speaking, the sphere looks really cool. I am a big fan of augments in any games, but in its current iteration, it just doesn't fit into the game for me. And I'll give you guys the reasoning behind my distaste so that you can understand where I'm coming from. Every normal enemy, from level 1 to level 60, from easy to UVHM7, even in true mode, there are very reliable and cheap ways to just one-shot them with guns, splash, ricochet. There's no shortage of ponage. You can deal with random shitlings easily. So that leaves us with needing something for the badass enemies, the bosses, and of course the raid level encounters. And now let me work my way backwards from that list so that you can see what I mean when I say that the observer under-delivers everywhere. For the raid level bosses, the damage is just not enough. Not by a long shot. They have many, many, many millions of health pool. I don't think that anyone that's not out to complete a very specific challenge to win a Taco Bell gift card is gonna enjoy doing this. Then for the bosses, the damage does get a little bit better, but it is also simply kept at a very low ceiling. You're gonna command your little Belgian Malinois, and then you have to wait 3 seconds until it finishes attacking, and then you can command it again. If you do it quicker, it will not add to the counter, it will not double buff the nade, it will just effectively be wasted. So with it having a fixed damage for a fixed duration, there is not a lot of levers that you can pull in order to actually supercharge it. From my testing, and I'm gonna put a little bit of a caveat here, I am only playing Ordnance build with either Harlow or a Mon. This is just weak. That's getting carried by insanely strong talents like the Tail of the Comet and the Blackout. So the bosses are gonna be doable, but you'd have to actively wanna be doing it with that grenade. And I am by no means against that. So don't get me wrong, don't get this shit twisted. I think we can be open about the fact that the game is struggling. So whatever way you can find some fun in it with it for yourself, it is gonna be cool with me. But then we come to a place where it will shine the most, and that's gonna be the trash mobs. It will clear random shitlings very easily. But because there's always a goddamn but with this fucking guy, the radius that it orbits around you is really big. And the problem is that it flies through every object and terrain in the world, walls, rocks, room, etc. Everything. What that means is that its passive clearing ability, even though it does good amount of damage on collision, is virtually uncontrollable. You just sometimes get lucky with it. To add a little bit more further insult to injury, if you miss the grenade, it also ain't gonna do shit. You have to dome people right in the head with it. Otherwise, it's just not gonna do fucking nothing. Depending on where you're coming from, this can actually be a nice little aim trainer instead of like the Kovacs one. But I would assume that most of us playing Borderlands is not really doing it to keep our competitive edge sharp, if you know what I mean. So all in all, you can get this in every element aside from kinetic. And there will be times when the mobs will line up just right and you can just wipe them out with a single collision. But I have to say, and I'm going to loop back to what I said in the beginning, I want to understand how they're testing, creating items and gears within the game. Because either they're acting on some statistics that I do not see and they do, like for example, 70% of the accounts that are logging in every day are playing with UVHM5 or lower. And they're doing the testing for them on those bases. This is perfectly plausible in my mind. And also, if I'm honest with you, I kind of want it to be true because the other option is a lot worse because that would mean that they're just completely disjointed from their own player base and have no idea what they're doing, what problems you and I are facing in the game. And that's not a happy future to just project ahead of everything. But then let's quickly look at the second weapon for today's video, and that's going to be the Cooper Duper Super Party Pooper 3000. And look, I won't spend too much time yapping about this one because the overarching issues and the reason why I don't quite understand why they went down the avenue that they have done so this time around again as well is quite literally the same as what we just talked about. These are game loop and gameplay loop and game mechanistic issues, not quite specific down to one single weapon. But what you got here is a Melivan heavy ordnance, and those are really niche by nature. Every single one of them is super fucking quirky, a very low ammo count, and always comes with a really heavy baggage. Now this one in particular, we shoot out a piercing barrel that will just stick to a surface, and then when you shoot it again, it will explode like ba-boom. And again, I'll say the same thing. It is a cool idea. I like how the powder keg looks like, and clearly, what I must have been a fucking movie night at Gearbox HQ and they were watching the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy recently because we just got this and the Swan Song. And I mean, I see what you're up to, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a little bit on the nose. And I'm okay with that. I don't mind them having a little bit of fun. However, here's the problem. The whole process of having to shoot it and then detonate it later, it is just a chore. This is a step up in the let's make a trap for our enemy's direction compared to the goddamn buoy grenade, but it's still not there for me. And I mentioned it above, that I play heavy ordnances with either Trooper Hollow or with a Mon. I don't think there is any other build in the game that can get more out of them. And the main issue here is that this place is just so saturated with so many better heavy options out there that going on this tangent is really asking a lot. I mean, pound for pound, if you put this against something like the Dropner, I don't know how you're gonna convince someone to ever use this over that. The biggest flaw here is just how the game plays. You cannot really funnel enemies into a place. You just don't really have an option to set a trap. They will either shoot you and then they're gonna be scattered all over, and this will just not do shit. Or they're gonna bomb rush you, and then you can't really put this under yourself because you just make yourself unalive very quickly. And then lastly, And like this is a little bit more of an anecdotal build perspective from coming from me to you. The weapon swapping is annoying. It can be fixed with building towards it, but then you end up in this loop where you're actively making your build worse while using a worse gun just to be doing something for the sake of doing it. It doesn't really make sense. You can get lucky with it. You can put down some multi-barrel setup with critical funding or endless bombardment that will just refund the bullet, but it's gonna be rare, and it's fun when it happens. But all the stars have to align, which most of the time they just fucking won't. So there you have it, folks. What do you think about the new ordinances? Am I missing something obvious? I'm sitting here in my echo chamber and I don't fucking know if I'm just being dumb or if I'm right and Gearbox is missing something. Let me know in the comments if you managed to make them work and they're just going to be able to carry you, or if you have a thesis on why do you think that Gearbox is making gear like this. Subscribe and ring the bell if you like the video and if you enjoyed this Yaparoni session, and a huge thanks to the channel members for supporting. Much appreciated. If you want to get the GOATed status as well, join as a member. The link is down in the pinned comment, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.